Hello and welcome back to the Encryption Edge. I'm your host, Wyatt Hackthorne, and we spent the last couple weeks looking at the big picture for quantum safe migration, from the general unpreparedness of the web to the impressive company wide roadmap from a tech giant like Microsoft. Today, we are going to shift our focus, though, to a national scale, specifically to Canada's comprehensive plan to secure its government against the quantum threat. So, in a recent publication from June 2025, the Canadian Center of Cybersecurity, a part of a communications security establishment, they released a clear roadmap for migrating the government of Canada's non classified IT systems to post quantum cryptography, or PQC. This document isn't just a recommendation, it is actually a strategic, well phased plan that sets concrete deadlines and outlines the responsibilities of every government department. The Canadian roadmap is a three-phased approach that any organization, not just the government, can actually learn from and follow. It's built on the principles of early planning, a comprehensive discovery, and systematic transition. So the first phase, which begins as early as April 2026, is all about laying the groundwork. Departments are required to develop a comprehensive plan or PQC migration plan. And it's not just an exercise, it involves establishing a dedicated committee, appointing a PQC migration executive lead, and getting buy in from senior management. This phase also focuses on crucial non technical aspects like financial planning, creating an educational strategy for staff, and updating procedure policies to ensure that any new systems are quantum ready from day one. By planning early and preparing early, the government aims to use existing IT life cycles to reduce cost and avoid rushed, expensive last minute procedures. So the next step is a massive undertaking. It is to create a complete inventory of every system using vulnerable cryptography. And this is going to depend on, organization size, but for the Canadian government, a this is going to be a huge part of this plan. This includes kind of everything from network services and operating systems to physical assets like laptops, printers, and smart cards. The goal of this is to identify and prioritize systems that are at the highest risk, particularly those that are susceptible to what we've been talking about, this harvest now, decrypt later threat. This is where sensitive data is intercepted and stored by adversaries today to be decrypted by a future quantum computer. Now, the final phase of this execution is using that inventory from the identification phase. Departments will then plan out and carry out system upgrades, replacements, or even network isolation to secure any vulnerable systems. The roadmap emphasizes that the goal isn't just to add PQC algorithms in a sort of hybrid approach, it's to ultimately migrate the quantum risk by disabling or completely replacing legacy vulnerable cryptography. The Canadian roadmap sets basically two major deadlines. The end of 2031 for the completion of PQC migration of all high priority systems, and then the end of 2035 for the completion of migration of all remaining systems outside that initial high priority systems. Departments are also required to report on their progress annually, a mechanism for a level of accountability and oversight. As we've discussed other roadmaps on this podcast, a natural question arises, and that I've heard is, how does this Canadian plan compare to others like the EU? Both of these approaches were recently released, and they share a lot of commonalities. Both share a timeline. Both the Canadian and EU are operating in similar timelines. The EU's roadmap calls for all member states to begin the transition by the end of 2026 and to have all high risk systems secured by the end of 2030. Um, Canada's timeline is very close, with planning starting in April 2026 and high priority system targeted for completion by the end of 2031. And so, as well, they both roadmaps recognize that it's a complex multi-stage process. And so they are handling that by giving a phased approach. They're both emphasizing the need for this approach, starting with planning and discovery, followed by a systematic migration. Lastly, they're focusing on high risk systems first. Excuse me. Both Canada and EU prioritize the protection of critical infrastructure and high priority systems that are susceptible to that harvest now decrypt later threat that we talked about. However, there are a few notable differences that can be important for maybe not your organization, but other organizations out there. So, the Canada roadmap, as outlined, is specifically for the government of Canada, right? So, and non classified IT systems. While this provides a very powerful model, it doesn't explicitly mandate the same for, say, a private sector. The EU's roadmap, on the other hand, is a coordinated implementation plan for all 27 member states, which can have this broader and not legally binding implications for critical sectors within those countries. Canada's document is highly detailed and surrounded on governance, naming specific government bodies like the Treasury Board of Canadian Secretariat. This level of detail provides a very clear chain of command and accountability for Canada specifically. The EU's roadmap is more of a high level coordinated plan that requires each member state to develop its own sort of specific strategy for their specific sector. The Canadian roadmap specifically calls out importance of cryptographic agility and recommends the new procurements have clauses to avoid vendor lock-in and ensure interoperability. Ultimately, both Canada and the EU are demonstrating some good commitment and serious commitment to the quantum threat. As these plans come out, it is more and more evident that organizations need to act now versus later. While their approaches differ slightly in scope and detail, the core message is kind of the same for organizations everywhere. The time for preparation is over, and it's important that you not only are moving towards these PQC algorithms and these quantum safe, you know, things, you are taking the time to learn and how to properly do it without causing headache for your organization. So making sure that you have a plan, that you have visibility within your organization for all the cryptographic assets and that you procured throughout the organization's life cycle. So that's about it for this episode on the Encryption Edge. I would like to hear any topic suggestions or anything further you'd like for us to talk about on PQC. If you guys are over there on YouTube, you can leave us a comment or you can email us at info@encryptionconsulting.com. Join us next time as we continue to track the global race to a quantum safe world. Thanks, guys.